So welcome back to episode 2. In this episode we're going to be concentrating on some gluing, maybe some filling and so forth. Now we've got our actual warp nacelles just here. Now with these warp nacelles, it's they've got these nice little bits that stick out and they go into this little hole, and it sort of allows you to orientate it all up nicely, but still what we want to do is we want to get out some glue. Now when it comes to gluing, really sort of like this is the new stuff to use. You've got your Tamiya extra thin cement. This stuff, what it basically does is it doesn't bond, right? We don't have like two pieces of glue and it bonds it together. What it does is it actually sort of dissolves, melts it, sort of thing, and actually it's the plastic that kind of dissolves and comes together and makes it one, which does make it rather cool. With this stuff we don't have to put glue around the edges and then bring it together. With this stuff we can actually bring it together. Now we've got these 3 little holes just here, so I'm just going to dab in a bit of glue in here just so as it's going to glue. A nice blob is fine. This stuff, it does dry mega quickly, right? So if we was to put it on the surface it would very quickly sort of evaporate, but a nice big blob in those little holes should be all right, because we put a big sort of blob in there. Right, now what we want to do is we want to sort of make sure everything, whenever we glue something, just try and make sure that we've got no sort of steps, sort of like it's not lined up right, it kind of goes off a bit. We want to make sure there's no steps, it's lined up properly as much as we can. Right, so this is where nicking some pegs off the misses is going to be rather good. And depending on how you angle it, you can angle it nice, flat and straight. If you angle it like that, it kind of can push the step out. It depends where the steps come in. There is one just here. I think we're going to have to do some sand in there because it's not the best. Right, and what we're going to do, a bit of Tamiya extra thin cement. We simply just run this along that join line. Right, and what happens is the glue is really thin, thinner than water, so it will suck into those join lines. Right, it gets into those join lines, it sits in there, and as I say, it will start to dissolve and melt the plastic. Right, but the cool thing is what's on the surface that's open to the air evaporates really quickly, so what you end up with is the glue just going exactly where you want it, which is what is cool about Tamiya extra thin cement over pretty much a lot of the glues out there. And then all you want to do is getting out your pegs. Right, we want to be trying to push down. I mean, I think we're going to be having a bit of gappage here, so a chance to show you some filler. Right, and we want to do the same again, just kind of try and press that in. You can feel for your steps. We've got a bit of a step, so I'm going to try and angle it, which still we've got a bit of a step, so I'm going to angle that a little bit more. Right, and it sort of gets rid of most of it. I mean, in some cases this isn't, I mean, it's a bit of an old mold this is, so I think we're going to have to accept a bit of steppage, a bit of gappage and all that kind of stuff. Right, and work our way around. You do want to be careful though around the pegs, right, because what could happen is here's our peg. Right, we could accidentally maybe touch the actual peg itself, and if we do that, it's going to run in and underneath the peg, and it's going to leave a peg mark actually on your piece. Right, so just be careful, maybe not have your brush too overloaded, and just run it all the way around. Now that's had time to glue. We can now remove all the pegs and that's all locked down. But you know what, we can sort of feel around this and everything, and I mean already, I mean you could probably see if I bring you right in, you know, we've got a gap right there. I'm feeling a little bit of steppage just up here. This is going to be a good time to get some filler in here. So a good filler to use is some good old green putty. This is MMD, not very expensive to go out and buy. Admittedly it does dry up a little bit round the actual nozzle bit just on here, so a good thing to use is some cellulose thinners. This is good to just sort of rehydrate what sort of dried up. Getting out a spatula, if I can just find one. Hold on, I'll just use this one stuff here. What we're going to do, we'll open up this, and yeah, it's a little bit dry on there. Just a simple, you know, dip your spatula into the cellulose thinners. Just has enough on there just to moisten it up enough for us to just, let's just dig some of this out, and then where our little gap is, we just want to sort of try and press that in and get it filled. Alright, so that's sort of pressed in, and then I'm sort of going to try and leave a little bit of a dollop on top as well, just to sort of help with any sort of shrinkage. Right, and then what we could also do is where we feel like we've got steps, maybe just scrape a little bit of this on. Right, if you feel like it's drying as well, you know, feel free dipping that cellulose thinners again, because it does dry really quickly. Right, but the cellulose thinners just keep it nice and moist. And I'm just applying this to where the steps are. Right, as much as we could probably just sand the steps away, we could end up sanding away quite a bit. So this filler just sort of helps us not end up sanding so much away. And as you can see, I'm just pasting this on. And I'm coming at it, I'm dragging both sides, right, just to make sure we get these steps sorted. Right, and there you go. Doesn't look pretty, but that's going to give us, once we've sanded it down, a really sort of nice, smooth finish, and make it look all nice and professional. And then just as a quick one as well, good old cellulose thinners here, we can just simply dip a little spatula in cellulose thinners, just touch the sides and you get a little bit of that cellulose thinners, touch the sort of cap end, put the lid on, and it'll just help keep the end from drying up so much. And then we can also dip again into the cellulose thinners, get out a kitchen paper towel and just wipe off any of the green putty just there, and it does really sort of clean off green putty really well. So good way to keep your tools all nice, clean and tidy. What we need to do is leave this to properly dry and go rock hard. We don't want to let this go, oh, it's touch dry, let's start sanding. It needs to dry down to the bone, right? Because if we sand it when it's touch dry, it's not cured, and if it's not cured, what could happen is, you know, come tomorrow it's shrunk down and the gaps sort of reappeared a bit. So make sure you give it time to dry. A good 24 hours should sort it nicely.